March is Women's History Month, and women are celebrating the contributions women have made throughout history. But ironically, we still don't know exactly what it means to be a woman, but no less, there's an entire month devoted to it. Should women have a month dedicated to celebrating their accomplishments? Is this really the best way to grapple with femininity in modern culture? Today, I'm exploring how the Women's History Month has scammed women into sacrificing their identity, and how the perfect solution has been staring us in the face for centuries. Hi, I'm Hannah, and today we're exploring one of the biggest movements on the planet that has done more harm than good. Don't forget to subscribe for other content like this, where we explore trends, tradition, and lifestyle for an elegant and inspired life. You can't miss March's special holiday, Women's History Month. Since the 1980s, when President Jimmy Carter signed it into a declaration, women worldwide have taken a step back once a year. They've patted themselves on the back and given kudos to themselves and other women for simply being women. A day that was originally formed by the American Socialist Party in 1909 is now celebrated by corporate discounts, pizza parties, shout-outs, and panels with Meghan Markle highlighting the progress that's still being made in gender equity, or is it equality, or diversity and inclusion. Heralded as a day to highlight the accomplishments of suffragettes over the last century, women like Marie Curie, Malala Yousafzai, Rosa Parks, you know the roster. They're all pointed to as the beacon of change and an example for women, for where we're going and where we've been. Now, I don't think that feminine accomplishments should ever be buried or dismissed. Rather, by highlighting the plight of womanhood in this way, instead of creating inclusion, it actually emphasizes exclusion. It's putting womanhood's place in a vague celebration for one part of the year, although it still doesn't define exactly what it is celebrating. Womanhood is touted as being this great thing to celebrate, but simultaneously it rejects the only clear definition of it being an adult human female. And womanhood has come a long way. We have more women in power than ever before in history. 100% of S&P 500 boards have at least one female director, with 3/4 having 3 or more female directors. Women make up more than a quarter of all members in U.S. Congress. That's a 50% increase from 10 years ago. U.S. women are earning more 4-year degrees than ever, now more than U.S. men, which I'll break that down at some point. There's so much to that topic. Women speakers in parliament have increased to 22.7%, which is up from 20% in 2021. And the European Nordic countries, they have a regional ranking of 45.7% of MPs who are women. Reports are in that the gender pay gap is closing, now accounting for 84 cents on the dollar compared to 1963 when women made 59 cents. Although factors including the percentage of stay-at-home moms, part-time working women, and women returning to the workforce isn't considered in any of the analyses, and thus it really questions the integrity of that concern overall. Girl power and feminine love are stronger than ever. The Barbie movie really drove women worldwide to embrace self-love and celebrate womanhood, but it was to the tune of America Ferrera's monologue, her award-winning monologue, I should say, that declared it impossible to be a woman. And yet, even though there's these accomplishments, there isn't a clear place in modern culture for women to be distinct from men. At what percentage of women having a quote-unquote seat at the table, in the words of Lily Singh and Meghan Markle, or women making equal or more pay than men, will the patriarchy be defeated? Will it look like Barbie Land? In fact, how are we even supposed to celebrate and uplift a group that isn't defined? And in fact, they're dying to be treated the same as every other man. By highlighting any objective difference in womanhood from men, that's culturally today considered sexist, close-minded, and regressive. But modern culture's answer is simply to celebrate women in Women's History Month in all shapes and sizes for professing and identifying women. And they're right that women should be honored, just not the way that modern culture does. When you think of medieval knights and castles, what comes to mind? Is it knights jousting for a woman's hand in marriage in the name of winning for selfish gain? Or the modern historical perspective of slaying dragons, raping, and burning buildings? Actually, that could not be further from the truth. Medieval chivalry first developed as a code of honor that all men were expected to take part in, emphasizing bravery, loyalty, generosity, and self-sacrifice for Christendom. The code was woven all throughout society, permeating every part of culture and every level of the aristocracy, foremost of which was their treatment towards women. It was an approach that was not taken lightly, and as recorded in works like Chaucer's Canterbury Tales, it was a protection and defense for women, with knights actually taking an oath to strengthen them in their rights, more than simply opening doors and kissing hands. It was the life's duty of a knight to protect the role of a woman and defend the values of their society, rather than simply throwing a pizza party for everyone who says they're a woman. This society was daily dedicated to defending the honor of women. In turn, a woman supported, celebrated, and honored her man's accomplishments and created a place for him to thrive at home and in his family. This was seen as a bedrock for knighthood. It was based in a double self-sacrifice, a man for a woman and a woman in return. This created a harmonious, thriving society where women were uplifted, and not by uplifting them to fulfill a quota, but by nature of being a woman. Although this era was often remembered with rose-colored glasses on, it was not a perfect era, but there was a firm celebration of gender roles in this society that protected women and gave purpose to men. Feminists today reel at the idea of gender roles, but secretly, more and more feminists are realizing that they actually love it. A few years ago, there was a study that asked women who consider themselves to be high feminists to read profiles of men with or without benevolent traditional attitudes, and then measure their perceived warmth, their attractiveness, their wanting to protect, their providing and commitment, as well as their patronizing and undermining behavior. And this research measured how the women responded, both in personal and professional relationships. And in both cases, the study showed that women were attracted to the benevolent men. And this was stronger, interestingly, in the dating context. And it was true for women all across the board on feminism. Everybody wanted the benevolent men. And the scientists behind the study concluded that, quote, "We know from previous research that women across cultures prefer a mate who is able to invest in providing resources. Women also may especially attentive to cues of willingness to invest when evaluating a man as a potential mate. Benevolent attitudes and behaviors may signal that willingness," end quote. And we can see this in TikToks that are really going viral of typical feminists who are really struck by the self-sacrificing and the interest of chivalrous men, despite their own definition of chivalry being that, quote, "women can't look after themselves," end quote. They want to be taken care of, and that doesn't mean that they are unable to do things for themselves. Women who are with chivalrous men are still respected and can do what they're called to do. There's not one box that they need to be put in as a damsel in distress. We just simply need each other. In fact, chivalrous men bring out elegant women and allow for them to thrive in their calling and lean into their strengths. True elegance is found when a woman is rooted in her calling, her values, and her tradition. By finding a man that will lay his life down for you, and you for him, you'll go so much further than just striving at this alone. But women have to be the kind of woman that deserves that kind of chivalry. Too many women love to berate men and label them as trash and just proclaim the superiority of womanhood with everything they do. And certainly there are men that are pure garbage. Can't deny that. But simply because they have different chromosomes, it doesn't mean that they are less valuable than women. There certainly are some trashy women out there as well. But instead of blocking out a month just to celebrate women, the very fabric of our society should honor and encourage women self-sacrificially for our own strengths and talents, recognizing the difference between men and women, with women striving to be worthy of that self-sacrifice. This Women's History Month, don't succumb to the scam narrative that women need to be wheeled out and celebrated this month and then put back on the shelf to compete for attention from men soon after. Let's build a world together that honors and respects women, and us, men. We can become worthy of chivalrous men, trust me, they're out there, and call them to a place of self-sacrificing chivalry by being elegant, being thoughtful, and in turn, gaining these promotions and raises and opportunities because of our merit, because we truly deserve it, not simply because we are women and corporations are trying to fill a quota. If you're looking for a place to start on this journey, I wrote an ebook all about my research into elegance and how you can set yourself apart for success instead of being super reliant on trashy, politically biased women's media out there. And it's based in 4 principles of elegance. So I've linked that below in the description. Just click the link there or go to theswishcompany.com/guide and I'll send it to you completely free. Just put in your email. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you next time.